what I can say is that this whatever they do over here, right, it's accommodating to getting um, a range of values. So maybe say like in this case they have like maybe say this mean and this max. So whatever they are getting is like a value from here, but on what you actually see is like maybe say like the values that's over here. So there's like a number over here and there's a number over here, and for this case maybe they have like a 0 and they have the 2. What's very important is that you are taking consideration of like the range, right? So even like the values like in between, you are also taking care of. Take care of in between values, right? To me, this thing is very important, is because that um, I'm gonna like maybe have like, because fundamentally I have this decision tree and I have like 3 options to actually choose from, and from here I got another 3 options to actually do. Here I got 3 options to do. Here I got 3 options to do, and continuously I keep on having like this 3 decisions to do based on how big my in array is, based on my A, B, C, D, like the in array, how big it is, like it's gonna like expand a lot of like ranges, and within these ranges is taking care of this, like the amount of like values that is taking care of is actually this 3 power of n, right? So that was like the thing that I'm worried about, because if you are constantly giving this asterisk sign, that means you like technically this asterisk sign, it just represents to me that you're telling me that okay, there's like 3 options for me to do, which is like fundamentally you're saying that I can be a open, I can be an empty, and I can be a close. You're giving me 3 options. Obviously I'm gonna say that okay, it's gonna branch out to this way, and I'm very worried because there's so many different possibilities. But you're telling me that like me creating like a minimum and a max, I am actually taking care of like all the ranges, like the 3 power of n inside within this range, and that comforts me. To me this is like whew, right? So yeah, talking about that. And so we're gonna proceed. So first and foremost, we look at the first value, right? Cool. And then so we proceed to actually talk about the rulebook. So operation Z, we have the rulebook, and what the rulebook tells me is that the quantity of my items got to make sure to be at the end to be 0. And how do they actually do the calculation? So there's like a rulebook formula that they actually give us over here. So it's simply something like this. So this guy, it represents +1, and close, it represents -1, and this guy empty, obviously it contains nothing, right? Or rather you can call it like 0. So now as we actually proceed like with the rulebook, like our objective is this: we want to actually make sure that the rulebook wants this to actually happen, for the quantity to be 0, right? So we move on, we come here, obviously in operation E's eyes is that and normally what I'll do is that I'll do this operation E, and my operation E is that this. I'll total up my quantity. That's my first intuition. And obviously for this case, it's maybe say a 0, right? But remember we talk about this whole operation, that we need to actually take care of the in-between. If we were to do this, we are not going to be able to take care. So we will run into trouble when we actually come to here. So we come to here and then we see like, holy shit, like there's a possibility that I can branch out to maybe say maybe I can get maybe say I do the open, and then what is going to result? It's going to result in maybe say, so previously we go through the open bracket, right? It will be +1. So now I go through open bracket, I'll become a +2. And there's a chance that, maybe I give it an empty, and then so I'll become like a +1. Or maybe, I can give it maybe say this close bracket, and suddenly my quantity becomes 0. So I'm starting to say that, I'm getting these items again, and then as you branch out, this guy, it's obviously gonna give it like that one option, and the one option, and the one option. And if it gives for whatever value this is, they're gonna give you another S3 and another S3. Means what? You're gonna need to branch out again, and then suddenly what you realize, holy shit, I'm getting traumatized by this. And suddenly I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 possible values, and it goes under this whole rabbit hole. If I do this operation, that's why we need to introduce this very advanced technique. Advanced. When I saw this, I say advanced. So what we actually do, simply have something to actually record the least minimum, which is the least possible, and we have the max possible. So whatever our consideration is that, okay, so if this case gonna actually play out, what is our least possible? And one of the things that reminds me also is that operation W, which is that the rulebook states that there's no such thing as your quantity going to say to become like negative values. This I don't accept, because what this actually means, it means that your code is invalid, and we can't have that to actually happen. And you can argue, later I'm gonna like fix it. No. Once it's out, right? So that's the thing. So with that in mind, we must make sure that this guy doesn't go negative. But obviously, they then start to actually argue that there is such a edge case of saying that, okay, now my operation E, my current max, like I can't help it. My max is a negative value. So what do we do over here? It's obviously not good, and so like the whole, and so we actually send back to the system and say it's not good, and in fact we send maybe something like a false towards it, right? The thing about like at least for current minimum is that there's still leeway, because the thing is that the moment we play it out and say that, oh, we reach until 0, and then there's like a possibility of me going to -1, I have the choice. I have the choice to actually say that I'm gonna throw in a blank, right? Because one of the options was that it can throw open, blank, or close, and I have the option to actually within this arena I can actually throw in a blank, and that will actually result me in having back to 0, and I can actually avoid. So in the end I can avoid getting a negative value, so that's great and all. But for this, my man, okay, this is a bad argument. How I'm gonna argue this time around is this: that imagine that your values over here, like your value, it's like a negative value. Obviously it's bad, right? And that, can you expect your minimum value to be actually a positive? There's no way this guy's gonna be positive, right? This guy obviously is like minimum, obviously it will fall under negative, and it will definitely auto get cancelled out if this guy is negative. But for this case, if this guy is like a negative, it's obviously bad, right? But doesn't matter, because here there's still a chance that this guy still can be a positive, and we still can have like a result to be good. So that, to me, operation G is why we say that no matter what, if my max is the negative, there's no way I can recover. But at least if my minimum is negative, I still can actually do some form of like recovery. So what this actually implies is this: is that if minimum is like negative, I still have like potential to actually recover. But for max to be negative, I'm telling you that no potential of any form of like recovery of as such, right? So now Okay, so we come to here. Obviously we're gonna actually start doing some form of recording. Operation E telling me that we're gonna record in this way. So we have the minimum and the maximum. So this one, I think we got like maybe say no choice, right? So this guy is like a positive one. So it's a positive one. Max, I think, is also like say a positive one. And the next thing that we know, we have this guy. So we can actually make this to become a 0. And we got the potential to actually add this guy to become 2, right? So we come to this guy, we close it, we got no choice, -1. And this guy 1. So now this guy comes again, we get a potential to actually pull it back to 0. And the max, obviously we want to try to increase as much as possible. We come to here. My question is this, that what if this guy ends up being what if this guy ends up being like operation E of becoming a negative value, which is bad, right? And then this guy we're talking about the mean, right? And then the max guy, he still have like positive, so there's a potential that it might be within, like say, the range, right? So we have negative and a positive, but we're not so sure that will it hit 0 or not. So what if this happens? Nobody knows, but I feel like my argument is this, that it has to actually hit 0 no matter what. Like the minimum must be a 0. So my argument is this, that the minimum has to be a 0 to be good. If it's a negative, it's not good. We have to actually return to a system that it's not good. I'm not too sure actually. But I still gonna lean towards this argument. Okay, let's say this argument is argument H, operation H. Yeah. That I gotta set it down as like the minimum has to be 0, because 0 is valid. You give me a negative, that means there's no potential for it to fall within the range. because whatever these guys actually tells me is that there's no way I can reach 0. And in fact, I'd like to actually argue that this range, sure, it can happen, but it's actually saying that I'm leaning towards getting my minimum to be 0. This is important. It's because that you have a choice. So this thing over here is you have choice to make it 0. So you can actually alter, you can actually alter the range. And if your altering does not allow you to hit, like doesn't allow you to hit hit say 0, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you an out. But if you do hit 0, I'm gonna give you the green card. So that's one tweak that we can actually add on to it. Cool. So now at the current stage is that we have a 0. I think we have the 2 over here. So the next guy obviously is going to be a positive one. There will be a 3. And then the final guy back to 0. And this guy will back to 2. And we hit it. Minimum 0. Good. Couple of things that I think this range is actually checking, right? Fundamentally, what it's actually checking is this, that our guys must be valid using, say, the current minimum. That's one thing. Like the current minimum is the determining factor whether that guy will be valid or not. Like, will it be true valid or not? Because the moment it hits 0, it just means that it's like true valid. And so for your left max, if it happens to hit, like, say, a negative value, obviously that's not good. Like, it hit a negative value is not good, and there's no way no way we can actually do any form of recovery, because if this is negative, it just means everything is negative and you're out of the picture. But at any point, if it's positive, you still can have a certain hope that this guy will hit the true value. So that's fine. So I mean, overall, like, this whole thing is to make sure that we want to find the answer of whether my current minimum hits 0 or not. And this guy over here is basically what we're looking for. And the rest of the things is just accommodating. Like, whatever the max is like trying to actually do is to say that, okay, there's a potential that this current minimum is still might hit 0, right? So we also have to actually talk about like the character left min and as well as like left max. So whatever the properties that they are actually using is very much to do with this. They set into the box, the minimum box, and the condition states as follows: that our objective is to hit 0, right? So anytime that if it's negative, we'll try to increase it. If it's positive, we'll try to minus it. If it's neutral, we'll try to keep it. If 0, we'll try to keep it 0. But the thing is this, I actually like to actually argue is this. But what if I come up with like something like, okay, S street, like close. Like, I will give you empty. Then here will be -1, -2, -3. As opposed to I give it, maybe say open, then I close, then I get a valid result. Am I crazy or what? Yeah, like, how do I account for everything towards the future? Man, what the fuck? Oh, man. Right. I believe there must be something to actually solve this operation, right? Holy crap. I just realized this. Shao how now how? Ooh. What the fuck? Yeah, like how are you gonna... What if here it's obviously plus one. Here's a plus one and negative one. Like no matter what, I just throw in like a negative one. Can I just do that? That's basically my plan. Because I don't know. Oh, maybe. Is there a possibility I can take consideration of all the items? can I actually do this? Like maybe say I do like maybe a sliding window, but they did not actually mention about a sliding window at all though. They only mention about this minimum and the max. Because my idea is this, like what if I have this guy to actually consider the perspective of like everything from before, and this guy is going to consider the perspective of previous everything. But I mean it comes down to accumulated. Yeah, I don't know about this. Okay, I'm very much curious to actually find out about this item, on how can I expand it further from here. So with that, I think comes to an end.